Good afternoon and welcome. Glad you could join us today. So let's get started talking about My Mac Can Do That on GoFor Lunch for April 8th, 2025. Brought to you by GoFor Technology. I'm Roger Harmon, your host, and we are here to make your technology work for you. It is National Library Day. Actually, it's National Library Week with different days designated for different parts of the library. And of course, we have a great library here in Tucson, and wherever you are, I'm sure you probably have a good library too. So libraries are more than books now. You have audiobooks, ebooks, magazines, and comics, so you don't have to subscribe. And of course, there's music, streaming video in the form of TV shows and movies, and mobile apps. So our Pima Public Library has a mobile app to help you take advantage of all the different resources available to you. And the link for that app is right down there below in the description. So My Mac Can Do That. So we're going to look at some tips and tricks that are built into your Mac operating system so that you don't have to buy anything. They are already here. So the first one is when you see an event poster, you can capture information off of that poster and put it into a calendar or a reminder. So let's see how that works. So here we have in Safari a little poster for a folk festival. And so what we can do is when we put our cursor over the date, you see we have a rectangle and a little down arrow right here. Hopefully you can see that. And when you click on that, then you get some choices. You can create an event. You can create a reminder. You can show this date in a calendar. You can also look up the phrase April 9th or translate it if it happens to be in a foreign language. So we're going to create an event. So we click on Create Event, and there it is. So because there was no time associated with it, it created an all-day event. So we're going to type in Folk Festival, and then we're going to click here in the lower right hand corner, and now that has been added to my calendar. So that's real handy. You can also do that with your iPhone when you're out and about. So it's pretty much the same procedure. So another thing you can do is you can capture text for a later reference. So what you do is, say you're on a website, you select the text, then you can just simply drag and drop that text right onto your desktop. So let's see how that works. So here we are in Safari. I didn't show you the slide here. So you capture it, you select it, and then you drag and drop it on your desktop. So back to Safari, and we have a website here from a company you may have heard of. So we're going to capture this paragraph right here just by dragging across it. And now if we just drag here in the highlighted area, okay, let's try that again. Maybe we have to copy it. There we go. So now I drag that into the Finder, so onto my desktop. So here it is, right here in the lower left. Now I can take that and drag it somewhere else, like into a Pages document, into an email, or let's make it into a note. So I'm just going to grab it down here into my dock on top of my Notes app, And let's try that again. I hesitated a little bit, so let's just drag it there and let go. Okay, and there we are. Now we're in Notes. There's my text. If I double click on it, and there it is. So that can be very handy to collect little snippets of information and have those available as a reminder or a note or something you insert in another document. So we're going to close those out. So another thing that's built into your operating system is hot corners. So your screen has 4 corners and you can put different functions in those different corners. The way you do that is you go to Settings, you go to Desktop and Dock, and then you go to Hot Corners, and of course each corner can do some different things. So let's go into our settings. So we're going to open Settings. There they are. So you see down here is Desktop and Dock. We click on that, and then normally it would come up like this, and then you would have to scroll down, and at the very bottom right hand corner is Hot Corners. Not Hot Pockets, but Hot Corners. So you can see I have already assigned some things to my different corners. So my top left corner will take me to the desktop. The bottom left corner goes to the Launchpad. The top right corner goes to Notification Center, and the bottom right corner goes to Mission Control. So let's close that, and let's go into the Finder. So if I go to the bottom left corner, there we are. And if I go to the top left corner, I go to my desktop, and so forth. So that's a very handy thing. There's some other choices there. So let's go back to our settings and hot corners. So here we go. Let me show you all the different things. So you can go to Mission Control, you can go to Application Windows, the desktop, Notification Center, Launchpad. You can go create a quick note. You can start your screensaver. You can disable your screensaver, and you can put your display to sleep, and you can lock your screen, and then this bottom little dash is do nothing. So that is Hot Corners. So we're going to close that. You can color code your desktop windows. So when you're in a window, you right click in an empty space, and then you'll get a pop-up menu. You click on Show View Options, and then at the bottom under Background, you click on a color. So let's see how that works. So we're going to go into the Finder, and we're going to go up here to click in the Finder, and then we're going to go to Hide Others. Okay, so here's a folder. We're going to double click on that folder, and you can see I've already made a color, and I'll show you how I did that. So I right click here, and I go down to Show View Options, and there they are. And then down here at the bottom under Background, it has colors. So if I click on the color, then I can get a color wheel. I can get the colored pencil. So maybe I want to make this a blue for to do. So that's very handy. You can use that to say if we wanted to make it red, would mean don't change anything here. Or if we wanted to make it green, that could signify these are financial records. So be careful when you that you don't delete those. So that is another great way that you can color code your window backgrounds and give them more meanings. So let's go back here to Keynote. And restoring tabs in Safari. So let's say you close Safari and then you say, well, I didn't want to do that. I want to go back and see the tabs that I had open. So all you have to do is restart Safari and hold down Shift, Command, and Tab. So let's see how that works. So we're going to go back to Safari. Now I have an interesting phenomena going on here with Safari. If you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner, the three little dots that you use to close the window or to diminish the window or to go into full screen are not there. They're everywhere else but in Safari. And I've quit Safari and restarted it like this. So I'm going to quit it with Command Q. And now I'm going to restart it from the dock. And look at that. They were there for a second, and now they're gone. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I guess I'll be calling Apple and asking them. But so now we restarted, so we're going to hold down Shift, Command, and T, and now my windows, my 4 windows that I had, are back again. Well, while we're here on this window, let's talk about an iOS 18.4 bug. Seems like if you use CarPlay and you have 18.4, CarPlay may not work for you. So if you use CarPlay and you haven't upgraded to 18.4, here's a reason to hold on till 18.4.1. Hopefully that will correct that problem. So there is a situation you should be aware of. So that brings us to questions. I had one more little trick and tip, but it didn't work. So that shortened our little presentation a little bit. Please do me a favor and share the Gopher Gazette and our YouTube live videos with anybody you know that uses Apple devices. So let's see what things you have to say here as we look at the comments. Hi, Deb and Chris. And here is something that is good to know. Leslie Ann says the Pima Library has the New York Times online. So if you've ever gotten a New York Times article from somebody and it turns out to be behind a paywall, then you could go to the library and get to see that article without paying for it. Okay. And Bob says, is it safe to update to the latest .4 releases in macOS, iOS, iPadOS, etc.? Well, I just talked about the 18.4 problem if you use CarPlay, which I know Bob does. I did update my 2018 Mac Mini to Sequoia 15.4, and I haven't noticed anything different there. The Safari works as expected there. So there are a few cases where things are not working. So it just depends on what you're using. And Bob said that 18.4 is on hold. So there may be some good reasons for that. So we always suggest that you don't have automatic updates on that you do a search when the new version of the operating system comes out for whichever device. Do a search on the internet for problems with, say, iOS 18.4 or issues with Mac OS 15.4, and so wait a week or so and then do that search. And Chris adds that it might be worth waiting for a 4.1 on both platforms. So I would agree with that. There seems to be some issues there. Unfortunately, these updates are not always great. They tend to fix some things and break other things. So be careful out there when you're doing those updates. So if you have any other topics you'd like to learn about or any other questions, you can always reach me. My contact information is coming up right now. So have a great week and join us next Tuesday at high noon for another GoFor Lunch.